And this is another recipe that my mom used to make, and she would make these rolls every year for as long as I can remember, and they're absolutely delicious. I do want to give you a heads up that this recipe makes about 48 dinner rolls, so if that's a little too many for you, you can cut the recipe in half, or you can make the full recipe and divide the dough in half after it's risen. It freezes beautifully, and you can use half of the dough to make something else, like a coffee cake or cinnamon rolls. The ingredients you'll need is flour, sugar, yeast, unsalted butter, milk, water, and 2 eggs. And I almost forgot salt. I'll start with 4½ teaspoons of yeast. And 1/2 cup of water, and I have my thermometer in there because it needs to be around 110 to 115 degrees. And then I'll add a little bit of sugar. And dissolve that yeast and sugar in the water. Now I'll let the yeast and the water proof for about 10 minutes, and I'll see if it gets nice and foamy, and then that'll indicate whether the yeast is good yeast to use to make the rolls. A large bowl, measure 3½ cups of all-purpose flour. And 2 teaspoons of salt. And 1/2 cup of sugar. I'll do a little less because I did use some sugar for the yeast. And whisk. Add 1½ cups of lukewarm milk. 2 eggs. 1/2 cup of butter, and again unsalted and softened. And here's the yeast and the water, and that got nice and foamy, so I'll dump that right in there. And stir all that together. And you can use your mixer here if you want. And mix until smooth. And add more flour until you're able to handle the dough with your hands. And you can add up to about 3½ more cups. And I'll add about a cup at a time. And again, this is a workout, so if you want to use your mixer, by all means, go right ahead. Okay, and this is what the dough looks like after adding 2 cups of flour. And it's just about ready. I can handle it, so I'll go ahead and turn it out onto a flour covered board and knead it. I'll just put a towel down so my cutting board doesn't move around too much. I'll sprinkle some flour. And put the dough right on there. Sprinkle some more flour. And I'm going to be kneading it for about 5 minutes. So I just fold it toward me and then push it out with my palm of my hand. And I actually do set a timer for this. And here's my dough, and this is what it looks like. And you can see all the flour that I used on the cutting board is now incorporated into my dough. And I've been kneading it for a good 5 minutes, and so I'll just form it into a ball. And I'll place it like so, put it around, so that butter is coating the top. Cover with a cloth and let it rise until it's doubled. That'll take about an hour and a half. And you want to let it rise in a nice warm place. And I'll remove my towel, and you can see it really doubled in size. And now you punch down the dough, which means just give it a punch, deflate it. Get all the air out of there. And I'll form it into another ball. And I'll let it rise this time for about 30 more minutes. Now it's been about a half an hour, and it looks really beautiful. And at this point, I'll dump my dough out. And actually, this one looks quite a bit bigger, so I'll just cut some more off. Oh, that's much better. So now what I'll do is I will saran wrap this, and I'll probably make cinnamon rolls out of it tomorrow. So I'll do that right now. I have it all nice and wrapped, so what I'll do is I will put it in the refrigerator. You can at this point either refrigerate it or put it in the freezer. I'll just refrigerate it because I'm planning on using it tomorrow. I have a 13x9 baking dish that I sprayed with cooking spray. And now I'll just form the dough into rolls. And I have my scale here. If you want to, you can weigh each roll to make sure they're consistent. And I'll just show you how I do it. So I'll just form it into a little ball like so. And I'll keep on filling up this pan and meet you right back here. I have them formed into 24 rolls. I'll let that rest covered for about 30 minutes or so. I'll check on them to see if they've doubled in size. The rolls have doubled in size. I'll put them in the oven at 400 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes until lightly browned. And they bake for 15 minutes, lightly browned. And my mom always put a little bit of butter on top. So that's what I'll do. And I will carefully, because this is still hot, place them on a rack to cool. And gently pull apart. because you do want to eat these when they're nice and warm. And of course, add butter. And enjoy. There you have it, homemade dinner rolls, and there's nothing like the smell of yeast rolls baking in your kitchen. It's absolutely wonderful. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.